We have secured an agreement that we can deliver on the financing needs for Ukraine for the next 2 years. The member states have agreed to finance the Ukraine through EU borrowing on the capital markets for an amount of 90 billion euros for the next 2 years.
Well, stealing is not really correct definition for that. Stealing, this is when someone is doing it secretly and they are doing it openly. This is a robbery. This is a robbery. Why they fail to do this? Why they fail to implement this robbery? Because the consequences can be really harsh for the robbers. Why is that? It's really hard to do that because they declare that they're not going to rob it, to take it. The idea is to make a credit using our assets, but you cannot just give out a loan. This will make consequences for the budget of a country, and it increases the budget debt of every country. If someone gives a loan, even secured by our foreign assets, it must be reflected in the budget of a country that does it.
European Union leaders have agreed to lend Ukraine 90 billion euros over the next 2 years, providing a crucial lifeline amid the ongoing war and financial crisis. European Council Chief Antonio Costa said the loan would only be repaid once Russia compensates Ukraine fully for the damages caused by its full-scale invasion. Costa emphasized the EU's commitment, saying the bloc had delivered on its promises to support Ukraine.
We committed and we delivered. In October, we decided that the European Union would cover Ukraine's pressing financial needs for 2026 and 2027. Last week, we decided that Russia would not get its assets back until Moscow ends its aggression. Today, we approved a decision to provide 90 billion euros to Ukraine for the next 2 years. As a matter of urgency, we will provide a loan backed by the European Union budget. This will address the urgent financial needs of Ukraine. And Ukraine will only repay this loan once Russia pays reparations. The Union reserves its right to make use of the immobilized asset to repay this loan. At the same time, we gave a mandate to the Commission to continue working on the reparation loan based on Russian immobilized assets. On top of that, we have agreed to roll over our sanctions against Russia. Our goal is not to prolong the war. In fact, today's decisions are a crucial contribution to achieve a just and lasting peace in Ukraine.
Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko praised the agreement as a decisive step for economic resilience, saying it strengthens the country's ability to withstand ongoing challenges. 2 EU countries, Hungary and Slovakia, refused to support the compromise deal, and the Czech Republic declined to provide guarantees for the loan. Ukraine requires an estimated 137 billion euros over the next 2 years to cover both military spending and essential public services for its population. The EU loan, to be raised on capital markets, is backed by EU budget headroom, representing the difference between actual member contributions and the maximum spending allowed.
We all share one clear goal: a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. That was the motto of the discussion today. So we gathered with a clear objective to address Ukraine's pressing financing needs for the next 2 years. And I'm very pleased to say we made it. We have secured an agreement that we can deliver on the financing needs for Ukraine for the next 2 years. As you know, the Commission had proposed 2 solutions, both legally sound, both technically feasible. On one hand, we proposed EU borrowing on the market, And on the other hand, we had developed the reparations loan. Very important was in our discussion that last week already on Friday, we had sent a very clear and strong political message by immobilizing the Russian assets in the European Union over the long term. So that message was very clear. And building on that, we today had then agreed to find a solution for the financing of Ukraine in the next 2 years. The member states have agreed to finance the Ukraine through EU borrowing on the capital markets for an amount of 90 billion euros for the next 2 years. We will do this by way of enhanced cooperation.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky expressed gratitude to European leaders, saying the support is significant and truly strengthens the country's resilience. However, EU member states failed to reach an agreement on using 210 billion euros in frozen Russian assets as an alternative source of funding. Attempts to access the frozen Russian assets failed, mainly because Belgium's prime minister could not be assured protection against potential Russian retaliation. Russian President Vladimir Putin criticized EU leaders for attempting to use frozen Russian state assets to finance a 210 billion euro aid package for Ukraine, even though the plan ultimately failed.
Mr. Putin, colleagues, there is a very important piece of news from Brussels. There was the failure, it was a real failure to take the assets. They cannot steal them, but they're trying, but still they cannot do this. Well, stealing is not really correct definition for that. Stealing, this is when someone is doing it secretly, and they are doing it openly. This is a robbery. This is a robbery. Why they fail to do this? Why they fail to implement this robbery? Because the consequences can be really harsh for the robbers. Why is that? It's really hard to do that, because they declare that they're not going to rob it, to take it. The idea is to make a credit using our assets, but you cannot just give out a loan. This will make consequences for the budget of a country, and it increases the budget debt of every country. If someone gives a loan, even secured by our foreign assets, it must be reflected in the budget of a country that does it.
For example, in France, the public debt is 120%, and ours is at 17%. And our budget deficit is 2.6%. Next year is going to be 1.6%. In France, it is 6% per annum. So, and now they will assume additional liabilities, and it'll be quite hard to pass such a budget. And all these are the reasons for the difficulty of taking decisions related to the robbery of someone else's assets, but there will be graver consequences for those who might endeavor that. This will not be a blow to their image, but this will subvert all the confidence with the euro area. Actually, very many countries store their foreign reserves in the eurozone. Many of those having spare money, like the oil-producing countries, if they have a look at what might be happening, they will have doubts, and they already have doubts and concerns. But what if this happens? You know, well begun, it can be further replicated, they might think. Now some people dislike the conduct of the special military operation and the fight against neo-Nazism in Ukraine, and next someone might not like the fight, the struggle with the LGBT movement. And the Muslim countries have stringent laws to this respect, and this might be another pretext for the alleged expropriation of sovereign assets. Why not? And they might find other pretexts. So that will entail image-related losses and direct financial monetary losses related to the contemporary financial architecture. And the main thing is, no matter what they steal, sooner or later they'll have to give it back. And most importantly, we will go to courts to protect our interests. We will do our utmost to find a jurisdiction that will be independent from the political context.